Good, evil, law, and chaos. Every character that we make in Dungeons & Dragons, or any medium for that matter, falls somewhere in this grid. Alignment is a subject I often find myself talking about on my streams with newer players and aspiring dungeon masters, so I'm making this video to help demystify this abstract concept. Real quick, I want to clarify this video isn't going to be about the cosmic forces of the universe, and nothing I say here pertains to angels, demons, undead, or any other supernatural entities. This is about using alignment to create better characters, not explaining why devils are lawful evil, though you may have a better idea of how to roleplay one by the end of the video. Alignment in the player's handbook is described as morality and attitude towards society. These terms are unsatisfyingly vague, and rely on the environment for context. A lawful good fighter can be counted on to do the right thing, as expected by society. But whose society? And what is the right thing? What if the society the fighter is from deems wholesale slaughter of other people justified? Say we take that very same fighter and place them in a land where killing any sentient creature is considered immoral. Which changes? Their alignment or their worldview? If their alignment changes, it was never really a good descriptor of that character. And if their worldview changes, then they can expect to have massive personality shifts at nearly every town they visit, as lawful good is constantly redefined. The terms we use as writers and roleplayers need to better describe the essence of a character, and should be accurate when considering the character in a void, outside of any setting influences. Alignment is subtext. Everything else is either backstory or world building. One of the first things we need to do is find what is at the core of each of the quadrants in our alignment chart. And I want to say here that, yes, I'm ignoring neutral in the 9-point alignment system. Neutral is just the position in the middle of each of the quadrants, and neutral characters either exhibit both alignments in equal amounts or are indifferent in regards to that axis. Alignment can be broken down to two fundamental points: methods and motives. Law or chaos are the methods a character defaults to, and good or evil are the motives behind their actions. Let's start with good and evil. Seems simple enough, any child over the age of 4 can tell you who the bad guy in a story is, but when we're creating a person out of thin air, we need to know what makes a character good or evil. It can't be what they do, because an evil character could be persuaded to do the right thing, and a good character may need to do something unspeakable in order to save the day. It's not what they do, it's why they do it. At my table, I break down good and evil into their most basic forms: selfless and selfish. A good character is one that is selfless, willing to charge into battle not for the glory, but to protect those that they care for. And an evil one acts with only their self-interests in mind. Dungeon masters shouldn't need to worry about an evil character at their table being a murder hobo, and players don't need to fear being branded as evil just because the only way to defeat the demon, threatening to burn the town to cinders, is to slay the blacksmith's possessed daughter. Good or evil doesn't dictate what actions a character takes, but rather why they take them. Having a clear definition for what good and evil are in terms of how they describe a character makes providing hooks for players and role-playing easier. Good characters are likely to take a hook so long as there are people in need. An evil character will take that same hook if there is something for them to gain, like treasure or status. Role-playing a character becomes simpler when you can choose the most selfless or selfish option in a given scenario. Acting against their core motivation can create an impactful character moment. However, this should be used sparingly, and only during the climax of a story. So once we've determined the why, let's talk about the how. Law and chaos describe what methods a character uses to make their decisions and plan their actions. Lawful characters are sensible and use reason and logic when confronted with a problem, however flawed that reason or logic may be. Chaotic characters do the opposite. They are impulsive, rash, and act on emotion. Now, despite cliches, this doesn't mean that intelligence plays a role in a character's alignment. Your quick-tempered wizard is just as believable a character as my barbarian that communes with nature spirits for guidance. Using these definitions, we can now infer a lot of information about a character or NPC from just 2 words on their sheet. Our lawful good fighter is likely to think before they act, weighing their options before doing whatever they believe benefits the most people, no matter the cost to themselves. A chaotic evil rogue is rash, quick to action, and looks after their own interests. They may help others, not because it's the right thing to do, but because there is a reward for doing so. Now that we have better definitions, I want to go over a few stereotypes associated with lawful good and chaotic evil characters. Lawful stupid is a term generally used to describe a character, typically a paladin, that has a very narrow view of right and wrong. These characters are not lawful, often acting on impulse based on perceived wrongs, and their actions do very little to help others, really only serving to stoke their own self righteousness. The murder hobo is what most people think of when they hear chaotic evil player character. While these characters are chaotic, it's more of an excuse to be violent rather than going with their gut reaction. And while many of their actions are objectively evil, they serve no end and often get the character into trouble and cost them opportunities. Even the player's handbook makes this mistake when describing chaotic evil. Sociopath is not an alignment. Earlier, I touched on evil characters helping others and good characters doing bad things. We have terms for these: the anti hero and the anti villain. In media, we're already well acquainted with the anti hero, Han Solo being a great and often used example. When we first meet him in Mos Eisley, he's a smuggler, an outlaw who traffics in illegal goods, and he really only agrees to help the heroes once money's involved, and bounty hunters catch up to him. Han shot first. Over the course of the movies, Han seems to become a capital H hero, but his selfish motivation never really changes. His desire has simply shifted from cash to getting with Luke's sister. The anti-villain is often mislabeled as an anti-hero, where the anti-hero is an objectively selfish and non-heroic character cast as the hero. The anti-villain is often a selfless hero who must commit villainous acts in order to serve a greater good. There are many examples of such, though they are often mislabeled because most people conflate protagonist with hero. Walter White starts out as a good example. Initially, his character is a loving family man who, due to his recently diagnosed lung cancer, turns to producing and selling methamphetamine in order to be able to provide for his family long after his impending death. Walter does become a full-fledged villain, though, once he embraces his role as a drug kingpin and begins doing it solely for himself. Finding examples like these in media is a great way to help players flesh out an evil-aligned character, and can make running good-aligned villains a compelling option for dungeon masters. You can have a character believably cast as either the hero or a villain, so long as their motivation is consistent, and doing so makes our games and stories more nuanced, complex, and enjoyable. Selfless, selfish, sensible, and impulsive. Keep these terms in mind next time you're assigning an alignment to a character, and those two words will do much of the heavy lifting in roleplay. Also, keep in mind the roles of the anti-hero and anti-villain. Just because a character is evil doesn't mean they can't be persuaded to help save the blacksmith's daughter. And just because a character is good doesn't mean they wouldn't be willing to steal her away in the middle of the night in order to rescue her from an arranged marriage to an evil duke. If you liked this video, or if you have a completely different opinion on alignment, let me know in the comments, visit my Twitch channel, or join my Discord in the links below. Thanks for watching.